Hello guys, today we're going to talk about training. This is Trophy Manager Tips and here I am with one more video. My name is Alan and I hope you guys are doing fine. We briefly talked about it before, but today I'm going to give you deeper information about this topic. We have two types of training, which is the basic training and the customized training. I will start talking about the basic one. To get here, you just come to this second item and you click training. Okay? So here we are in the basics training page. Down here we have a legend to identify each type of player. Then you can see here, this is an adult player, this is under 23, players in the customized training, goalkeepers, and goalkeepers under 23. In my case, all my players are in customized training, so that's why all of them are gray like this. Okay, but for the goalkeepers, you can see the difference in the colors. Okay, and this points for recently acquired players. In my case, I have one, I think. Oh no, I have none. These are players that have just been promoted or that you just bought from the market. Here we can see that we have six plans, actually seven, but one is just for goalkeepers. You have the plans, then you can drag the players around. For example, I can bring this one here, this other one here. See? Not for the goalkeepers. The goalkeepers I cannot change. See, I cannot move them. They only stay here in this training. I cannot even make customized training for them. They only stay here. Okay. Then let's see the plans. You have the technical drills in which the player will train these skills. Okay. It's recommended for these positions, but actually it's not only for them. For example, strikers need technique too. They can have some passing. Defenders, they should have some passing to be able to start the plays from the back. Okay, here you have the fitness drill. You can see the skills trained. This is for all players. Even the recommendation is for all because all of them need to have some physical skills. Tactical drills, also for all of them, but mostly for midfielders, as they say. Finishing drills, mostly for attackers, but midfielders should also know how to finish. Wingers, even defender midfielders, too. Defending drills and the winger drills. Okay, and what you should do is based on your player, the player you have, after you know his picks, his bloom status, and all the information you can know about him. Then you change, you leave him, for example, in the fitness drill. For 2 weeks, you check his skills. If you are satisfied, you can move to give him some finishing drills training, then you move to tacticals, then you go changing as you think you should. Understand? Based on the plan you have for each player. The maximum number of players you can put in each of these trainings is 24. Let me show you if I try to put more, what's gonna happen. In my case, I'm messing around here, but it doesn't matter because all my players are in customized training, so no, it doesn't matter where I put them here. See, now I have 24 in this group. When I put one more, see, they say the maximum is 24. Okay? Yeah. Now, let's see the customized training. In order to get there, first we need to open a player's profile. So let's go to the player's page and let me pick a random player here. Can be this one. Then we go to training. If I put him on a basic training, this option will be selected. If I want to use customized training, I must have Pro days. Okay? Without Pro, you cannot use the customized training. Then here you have your option. You had six training options there. Here you have six as well. The difference is that now you can use all of them at the same time. You just put points. For example, let me reset here. No, clear all. I have 12 points. And then I distribute according to the skills I wanted him to need to train. Okay, for example, what's his position? He's the right defender. So I could train more crossing maybe. How's his crossing? Yeah, he needs to improve. He needs to know how to defend too. I could put three here. Okay, some more here. And I adjust according to the needs of the player and what I think. It's important to use all the points here, okay? If you get to 102, it means that the player is getting the maximum of his TI possible. If it's 100, there is some decrease. The more you split these points, the lower you get the number here. For example, if I take this out and put it 3, see, now I have 99. If I put 4 in 1, let's see, I want to focus him a lot on crossing, and it's 91, see? I avoid doing this kind of thing. I try to keep at least 1 point in each skills to get this number higher. Okay, so the player doesn't lose so much TI. Okay, but you should adjust according to your needs. I I don't remember the last time I used an empty plan like this. Okay, so I wouldn't recommend you guys just if you have a really bad situation that you have to fix a player, then you can think about it maybe. When I opened the page, you notice that his training was like this. I did this to get this to the highest possible, which is 102, 102. Because this player, I don't think it's worth to train him because he's just too bad. Then I just want to maximize his TI the most I can. And later, when he finishes his bloom, I'm going to sell him to the agent. Okay, so I just want to maximize this price. I will talk more about this, selling to the agent, when we are in the video about transfers. Okay, then I explain to you guys how it works. For now, let's focus on training. So now you guys know how it works, the basic training and the customized training. Then let me make some comparison. In my opinion, the customized training is always a better option. I'll tell you the reasons. First of all, with the customized training, you can get a higher TI because the basic training, here it says that the basic training corresponds to 96,102, but this information is not correct. It's actually 109,102, 100,102, okay? So with customized training, you can reach 102 in this case, when the skills are distributed like this. Understand? But in the normal training, the most you can get is 100. It would be 100, 102, the standard training, any of those plans. For the second reason, first I need to go to the user guide. Okay, here you have the user guide to show you where I took this information from. Then you go to advanced training. Here we see the user guide says, for standard training, you can only control 25% of the training intensity of the player, which means that if you are in a basic training and put him, for example, in tactical drills, only 25% of the player's skills will go to this work rate, positioning, and passing. The other 75% will be randomly distributed. They can end up going to these three anyway, but it's random. You cannot control this. Understand? But in the customized training, as it said here, almost 100% of the training density can be controlled. Okay, I will explain why almost and not totally 100 very soon. But so you can apply practically 100% of the training to the skills you put here. Okay, so it's much better. You can get much more efficiency from that. But why it's not 100%? Because when the player reach its peak, for example, they cannot grow more in those skills. Understand? So let's say they reach the physical peak, and then he was going to get a point in pace. He's not going to get. This point will be randomly distributed in the other skills. Okay? During this random distribution, it may end up coming back to pace. It's possible, but at the first moment, you cannot direct points to the pace anymore. Okay? Other thing is that each player, I think I didn't say it before, but each player has a special skill, which is a skill that they will develop naturally. For example, in his case, this scout said that it's positioning. And as you see, he has 20 in positioning already. You cannot control this. Even if I don't put him to train positioning, never, he will grow this skill a lot. Okay? So a big part of the TI will go to this skill and you cannot change that. The third point is that when the players are young, I think up to the age of 18, 18.11, A lot of their training intensity will go to their physical skills. Okay, strength, stamina, pace, and heading. Because they are growing, they are developing from teenagers to become adult players. Okay, so a lot of their training intensity will go to the physical skills. You cannot control it. Apart from these exceptions, all of the remaining training you can focus with the customized training. Okay, so it's a big advantage that I see in relation to the basic training. One other thing that I think is that, in my opinion, the plans here in the customized training they are better designed. They are more well designed than the basic training. Because, for example, let's suppose I have a striker, and this striker has one in the skill pick. I really want him to develop a lot of heading, but if I let him grow a lot of pace, the points he gets in pace may prevent him from having a higher heading later. Understand? If I want to train him in the basic training for the fitness drill, I have strength, stamina, pace, and work rate. I need strength and stamina. It's not negotiable. A striker must have strength, in my opinion. You want a fast striker, which is not so strong. Okay, it's possible, but in my opinion, I consider strength more important than pace. Then, if I wanted to prevent his pace from growing because I want to save points for heading, I cannot do that with the standard training because I have strength and stamina that I need together with pace. Understand? But in the customized training, no. See, strength, work rate, and stamina are separated from crossing and pace. So I can simply put this crossing and pace in one, or even in zero, depending on the situation, and that's it. It's much better for me. Understand? And I can put this higher. Okay. If you have a winger, for example, who also has low skills peak, I don't want him to train heading because I want him to get more points in pace, not heading. But I want him to know how to finish. He should be finished because he will have a lot of chances to score. Then, in the standard training, if I want to train finishing with him and long shots, I must train heading at the same time. I cannot separate them, okay? But in the customized training is different. See, finishing and long shots are by themselves, and I can just set this to 1 or to 0. Understand? So I like these plans here much better than the plans in the standard training. One more advantage that I see is that you can train many skills at the same time. Like you can use the 6 groups at the same time, while in the standard training you just use one, and the rest of the 75% remaining is randomly distributed. And finally, the last point I will put here, there may be more, but the last one I can think now is that it's much more convenient. Because as I told you, if you put the guy here, you are focusing only on 3 skills. In a few weeks, maybe 1, 2 weeks later, you have to change him to other one. Then there's also few skills. Then you have to be changing all the time, okay? Because they focus on on a few skills only. But in the customized training, no, I can make a plan here, and I can leave the player for 1 season, 1.5, depending on the player, maybe even his whole career I can keep in the same training. Okay, it usually doesn't happen, but it could happen depending on the case. Finally, to end the video, let me show you how we see the results of the training. You go here to the player's profile. Let me close these other ones, I don't need anymore. And here you see the squares, they change every week. The red ones indicate that the player lost skills, and the green one indicate that the player gained skills. They gain decimals and lose decimals, as I told you before. And if the player loses enough to reach the next level, for example, he had 20 here before. He lost some decimals, now has 19. Then it's dark red. If the player gains enough to reach the next point up, it's dark green. Okay? If it's light, it's because the player didn't gain or lose enough to change the full point. Understand? And here on the side, you can see the training intensity. Okay, this is the intensity each player had in the last training, and this is the variation. Like this one, for example, he had -5 in this training. He lost 3 in the variation. So in the previous training, he had -2. Understand? If you don't know what training intensity means, or if it's something that is not so clear to you, check the video that I put here in the cards, in which I give deeper explanation about this topic, then you will understand. okay? This video will have a second part in which I will show you how I train different players in each position. So after you finish here, check it out, okay? That's all for this video, guys. If you have any comments or questions about the video, please write in the comment section below. If you have doubts about any aspect of the game, write it down as well and I'll do my best to help you out. I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to my channel. See you soon.